Good morning and welcome to the 8:15 daily operations weather brief. This morning on base, we are looking at some partly cloudy conditions with some patchy fog scattered across the local area as we started off on the cool side with our temperatures in the low to mid 60s, and that is as a result of some radiational cooling that got underway in the overnight hours. But we are anticipating a warming trend for today, with our highs expected to climb near 80 degrees under partly to mostly sunny skies, and light southerly winds running about 7 to 12 knots throughout most of the day. Now, looking at this morning surface analysis chart, we do have a weak surface high pressure system that is positioned near the mid-Atlantic coast, and we also have an upper level ridge that is anchored over the subtropical western Atlantic, and those are the features contributing to the early morning partly cloudy skies and that morning fog. But that fog is slowly beginning to burn off as we get into the warmer hours of the day. Out west, we are seeing a little bit of trough activity over both the Great Lakes region and the Mid-South, which will be the key weather player in today's pattern and over the next few days as we see that feature move eastward throughout the day today especially. Now, with that being said, that trough is going to drift eastward today, and that's what is kicking off that line of storms off to the right of the analysis chart here. And as that trough drifts east, the storms are going to follow suit. They're going to come across, and generally that trough is going to weaken as it battles that ridge over the subtropical Atlantic there, western Atlantic. So by the time it reaches our area, it shouldn't be as prolific. Those storms should have died down quite a bit, and we are not anticipating that line of storms really holding together strong enough to give us a prolific event or any real concerns at the moment, although mainland Virginia will have a much higher chance of seeing some related activity. Now, as for our current weather here observed on base, we are seeing a scattered layer, especially out over the water at about 700 feet, and a scattered layer at 25,000 feet in the form of some upper level cloud cover. We are also seeing 6 statute miles of visibility as a result of some morning mist, and winds are generally out of the southwest at about 5 knots, with our temperature at 67 degrees and our relative humidity pretty high at 97%. Now, looking at this morning's satellite imagery, we can easily see those upper level clouds moving over our local area, starting to thin out just a little bit. But especially as that daylight filter comes through, we can see that early morning fog, especially in southeastern Virginia and northeastern North Carolina. Now, again, that fog is slowly starting to dissipate under the heat of the day. As for our model run of the day, this is the a high-resolution model on a 24-hour loop here, and we can see that perfectly depicted where that trough lies, and generally where those storms are moving through. That is where that trough is pushing eastward right now, and as we can see, most of the models here have pretty good consensus that those storms do not hold true all the way to the eastern shore of Virginia. Some of them do move through the D.C. and into Maryland areas, but again, we're not anticipating any prolific line of storms at the moment, although it is certainly possible that one holds together long enough to make it across. It's not the most likely scenario at the moment. Pulling up the 24-hour risk chart for today, we are anticipating those partly cloudy skies throughout much of the day and into the night, with a little bit more cloud cover building in the early overnight hours before thinning out once again once that sunlight starts to break through in the early mornings. And for our temperatures today, we are anticipating that warming trend up to just about the 80-degree mark, with our winds anticipated to remain light at 5 to 10 knots for the early portion of the forecast period, and increasing slightly to 7 to 12 with some gustier or slightly more gusty conditions in the early overnight hours, although those sustained winds will still remain light at between 5 to 10 knots. As for the risk chart, do have a little bit of color on the possibility of seeing some low-level cloud cover and potentially, similarly to today, some patchy fog. And that brings us to the short-term risk chart for the next few days, in which we can anticipate mostly cloudy conditions on Wednesday with a high of 80 degrees and no real weather-related concerns for the daylight hours of Wednesday. And then Wednesday night, we do see a little bit of chance of precipitation and maybe a clap of thunder moving through, with the possibility of some low clouds. So cloudy and a slight chance of showers or thunderstorms, and a low of 69. And then for Thursday, we can anticipate partly to mostly cloudy conditions with some slightly breezy conditions persisting, and a chance of showers and thunderstorms, and a high of 79. And for those winds, at the moment, the models are depicting that they're going to be just under advisory criteria, but just throwing out some awareness to get people thinking about the possibility certainly exists there. But at the moment, not looking like a super strong scenario, but certainly something that's possible. Now that is going to conclude the 8:15 daily weather operations brief. I'll be back at 10 o'clock with the 7-day outlook.